Welcome to The Worthy Woman, a podcast for the intuitive, ambitious woman who's ready to regulate her nervous system, reconnect with her body, and rise to the next level of success, health, and purpose. I'm your host, Jo, manual osteopath, holistic coach, and nervous system guide, here to walk with you as you heal from the inside out and create a life and a business that actually feels good. On this podcast, we explore the connection between your body, emotions, subconscious patterns, and your ability to lead, create, and live from your worth. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of The Worthy Woman. I hope you guys are doing well. This week I wanted to talk about my weekend, basically, that I had. So for those of you who are new here, or maybe just for those of you who don't know, depending on, I guess, what episodes and you've listened to and how you follow me. So I've been on the journey of becoming a Reiki practitioner over the last, we'll say like 6 months. So I took my Reiki training for level 1 and level 2 back in May of 2025. And then I have also, this past weekend, I just took my Reiki Master training. So I am officially a Reiki Master. And I just wanted to share a little bit about my weekend that I had, because it was so good. And honestly, I'm like at times still struggling to like put it into context and put it into words. When you go through these trainings, you go through your own healing, and processing of things, as well as, obviously getting the certification, right? And this weekend was so awesome. So it was like a retreat style. So I went up Thursday night, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it was me and obviously my teacher, and then 4 other women. And so it was honestly, it felt like just this big sleepover, which was so awesome and so great. And we all got along really well, and it was a great group of people, which was great. And you go through different layers of healing. You experience different things. There's lots of meditating and things like that. And it's really interesting what starts to come through, especially when everybody there is on different paths, but still trying to, work with the same things. I randomly felt kind of drawn to Reiki. So being an osteopath, like obviously I treat the body already, but I wanted to learn a little bit more about the energetic side of things. And I do work with energy in my osteo, but it's like the way they talk about it is so different. And so I wanted kind of a different lens or a different view on it. And since I got even my level 1 and 2 back in May, I have been using it in my own life with clients, and I like it because it's just another layer, right? If you know me, you know I'm a big picture person. When I feel like our energy and our nervous system are very tied together. It's very much, we'll say, cut from the same cloth in a way, where especially when we're feeling things like stress and dysregulation, it's like our energy is definitely off, right? And so Reiki treatments can not only be supportive for stress, but I feel like, and this is why I feel like the nervous system work that I do in general is, whether it's through coaching or treatments, is so powerful, because when our nervous system can actually properly go into the parasympathetic state, we will be able to heal from other things as well, right? And so we can have ailments, we can have issues due to energetic blocks, but also just being able to regulate ourselves will help us move through and heal other elements that maybe aren't solely energetic, but have an energetic piece to it. So I really just felt called to, move into this Reiki journey, and I've what's cool is I've noticed a lot of overlap between different styles of whether it's Reiki or osteo, or like I'm learning about meridians and stuff right now. Like it's interesting how like all of it's kind of rooted in the same thing, you know, like it all kind of has the same essence or the same intention kind of around it, right? And so that's been really cool for me to see and for me to understand. I was kind of like at times like, you know, you kind of struggle, you're like, is it real? But I've had Reiki sessions and honestly it's crazy what you can experience, not only during the session, but also just the shifts it makes in your life kind of after that. And I always say, like, you know, if you don't necessarily believe in energy work, like ask yourself like when you've stepped into a room and you've just been like, ooh, something's off, or like you can tell when people were talking about something they don't want you to know, or people were just fighting, and then you walk into the room and then it's like everything's quiet. Like you can always feel it's palpable, right? And so to sit there and say like energy isn't real, you know, I just think like it obviously is. It's just how we think about it, and I think it's more of these labels and the things that we put on things like energy work. It's like we make it sound, or some people think it sounds, you know, kind of woo and like it's not real and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you know, the same people who will say that, you know, maybe believe in God or whatever. And it's like, it's all interconnected, you know? And so having an open mind is important, but also having an open mind is going to allow us to find these alternatives, right? So this weekend was awesome. The group, like I said, was amazing. It felt so nice to be in a group, just like a small group, intimate, right? Like it was just the 6 of us. It felt like we were in this little bubble. It was being held at my teacher. It was her cottage, and it was by the beach. And we were able to go down to the beach, and you know, we picked up rocks, and we, you know, hung out in the sand, and you know, then we were up. Me and my one friend who I actually work with, we were in the same room together, and you know, we stayed up one night a little bit later than we probably should have, but you know, having just, you know, girl chats and life chats, and it just felt so nice to kind of be in that supportive container, and then also to be able to learn and have, you know, everybody kind of on the same page and really interested in what, you know, everyone was learning, you know, like we're all focused on it, right? It's not like sometimes you go to school and you go to class and people are kind of paying attention, but not really, you know? I feel like when you do in-person events, or even just like, especially when you're all staying over, it's like the energy kind of really starts to like build. And so for me, like I had some interesting emotional things kind of come up, but also like, I feel like in a way, like things are really being cleared in my life, and I'm just like in this space of like where I'm like ready for the next stage. And I was interesting because I was talking to my teacher after, like, you know, I had gone home and I was just talking to her on social media and stuff, and I just said like my tolerance since I've come home for people has like kind of decreased, where I'm just tired of some people's like their shit, you know what I mean? Like I'm just tired of like excuses, I'm tired of complaints, and like obviously life is life, and those feelings that they have and whatever are valid, but I think it's the fact that so many people sit in that and they stay in that, and so it's been interesting coming home. Like it's only Wednesday now as I'm recording this, and so like it's been interesting kind of reintegrating back, because like I said, I felt like we were just in this little bubble, this little safe space. And then to come out of that, it's just like, whoa, like, you know, we're back into life again. And there's been some really interesting, like, I was saying, I actually messaged my friend this morning. So when I took level 1 and level 2 back in May, afterwards, I had a spider web in my driver's side mirror, like my left-sided mirror in my car for like 3 weeks. And so for those of you who don't know, you go through like a clearing process before 21 days before you take it, and then 21 days after. And what was interesting is I'm home, obviously, and I have a spider web in the left side of my mirror, or my left mirror of my driver, like on my driver's side of my car. And I'm like, it's back. Like, that's so interesting. I'm like, I wonder what that is, right? So it's funny, kind of just like weird random stuff that just starts to happen. But for me, I feel like for me, this process of getting into Reiki and taking my level 1, 2, and now 3, being a Reiki Master, it's not just about like, for me, it's not about the certification necessarily, but I just really feel like this is me allowing myself authentically to like step into my spirituality, deepen my connection to my energy and my intuition, for sure, my healing capabilities for myself, but also for my clients. I feel like it helps really to open me up, and also to just like step into this part of myself that I feel like in some ways I've kind of like hidden from people. I feel like I know some people make the switch of like, spirituality into like more of a specific religion, or maybe from a religion back to spirituality. But I feel like for me, because I'm very open, I'm like, I have a hard time like putting myself like in a box, you know what I mean? So I'm always like interested in different practices, different religions, different, you know what I mean? Like I love learning about that kind of stuff, and I can see where it all fits. And so I think for me, I'll always kind of be more spiritual than I am like specifically in one religion. I believe in God. I believe in a higher power. What that story looks like or what that process looks like isn't necessarily, I feel like I'm not specifically attached, I guess, in a way. I'm more open to multiple ways that it could be, right? And I always say, when you really look at it, they're all rooted in the same principles, the same things, right? Like, it's really just about love, right? But I feel like for me, it's in my life, stepping into spirituality has been, it's kind of taboo. It's kind of like, you're looked at as maybe the weirdo or whatever, right? And I'm like, I love pulling cards. I love energy work. I love the weird shit, right? The weirder, the better. And I think I've kind of held that part of myself back a little bit, with fear of like what people might think, or, whatever. And some people would call that like the witch wound, right? Of just like afraid to kind of be who you are and what you believe in. And so I feel like in some ways getting this Reiki training has really inspired me to step out of my little box, and be more confident in sharing my gifts, sharing my beliefs, sharing honestly like kind of like who I really am, right? And I feel like this is healing a part of myself and my own wounds, right? But it's allowing me to deepen my spiritual practices, and it's also allowing me to step up into my leadership and as a guide, as a teacher, as a coach, right? As a practitioner, right? And this is going to not only bring aligned people into my life, but it's also going to help me create better spaces for them to heal, right? Whether that is in the coaching or my one-on-one offers, right? Like, it's going to allow me to bring more and have a bigger toolbox of things I can access, tools I can access with people depending on what they need. It's also going to bring up the opportunity of teaching. So I can now, as a Reiki Master, teach Reiki and certify other people, which I am thinking of doing. I definitely want to do stuff in person, but I've also thought about possibly doing it online as well for the people who are obviously not local to me, and holding different types of healing spaces. I can host experiences, like group experiences as well, that are just like Reiki experiences, not for teaching or getting certification, but for just actually receiving the Reiki. And so I'm excited to just see where this takes me, where my continual growth and my practice takes me, right? Like with myself and using Reiki, and also like how it influences my clients and my business and where I'm going. So I'm really excited, because there's just so many ways. Like, that's the interesting piece about the Reiki, is like you can literally add it to everything. You can add it to your coaching sessions. You can add it to as an alternative, like its own healing modality, right? You can add it to your manifestation stuff, your intention setting, your goals, right? Like any of that you can add Reiki to just like boost it and give it juice and give it a little bit more life, right? And so, yeah, that was basically, my weekend. And I feel like I'm just continually learning like how to continually follow these, like my own nudges, my own intuition. And I always love investing in my own growth. Like, I think that's one thing I'm like, okay, we got to implement this, right? Which I have been implementing this. And, sometimes we just don't really know where life is going to take us. I didn't really necessarily think I was going to get into Reiki, but, here we are. And sometimes we just have to allow the path to unfold for us. And, if you feel called to something, even if it's weird or you think people are going to think whatever of you, if you feel called or, maybe you are kind of like hiding it, we'll say, from people, right? Like keeping it to yourself. That's okay. But also like, learn to express yourself, learn to, open yourself up, and don't avoid going towards things just because of what other people are maybe thinking or what you fear they might think. Because you'd probably be surprised how many people believe the same things you do or are on that same page, right? So we just have to, if we feel called to things, like follow that nudge, right? Follow that call, and see where it takes you, right? So I do plan on integrating Reiki trainings, like so that you can actually become a Reiki practitioner yourself. So I do plan on incorporating that. And I plan on incorporating it into the other elements of my business and my coaching, my obviously treatments and things like that. I can incorporate it into all kinds of things. And obviously I'm going to be incorporating it into my own personal life as well, which I've already been doing. But I'm going to keep up that practice. So if you're curious about Reiki, whether that's sessions or future offerings, definitely stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram, as well as you can always check out my website. Like all those details and those sorts of things, my offers are down below. But yeah, if you have any questions, the easiest place to kind of get a hold of me typically is my Instagram. That's where I am most often. But yeah, that was kind of a little bit about my weekend. Like I said, I'm still trying to kind of find the words. But it was just such an awesome weekend, and I do feel different. And I think it's just different in a good way, but also just like seeing how that unfolds in my life, and where this starts to take me. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to, see where this goes. And yeah, hopefully you come along with me and enjoy the journey too. So I will be back next week with another episode. Not sure what that is yet, but I will be here. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And like I said, if you need any information about programs, sessions, whatever, all of that will be down in the kind of show notes of this episode, whatever platform you're on. And we will chat soon. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next week.